Good morning. My name's Andy Kahn. I'm the Director of Victim Services, Victim Advocacy for Crime Stoppers of Houston. I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I'd like to thank our local media, our Crime Stoppers staff, our CEO, Rania Mankarius, our Deputy Director, Nicole Kristoff, our law enforcement team that's in the back. As someone who has worked with surviving family members of homicide for over 30 years and serves as a board member of Parents of Murdered Children, what happened with Jocelyn and her family is just another telling reminder of why we need to continue to do what we do. 31 years ago, 14-year-old Jennifer Ertman and 16-year-old Elizabeth Pena were brutally murdered, sexually assaulted, and when we found out what happened to Jocelyn, it just brought back a lot of memories, particularly for myself in the very same types of scenarios. But I want Jocelyn's family to know that like we were with the Ertmans and the Penas 31 years ago, and we made sure that they got justice in a very similar, unique fashion, Jennifer Ertman and Elizabeth Pena became catalysts for change. Change has happened as a result of that case. Your daughter, Jocelyn, is also going to be a catalyst for change. And with that, I'd like to bring Jocelyn's mother, Alexis.
Good morning, everybody. What happened to me and my family is something that I never want any family in America to ever have to go through. There are no words to describe the pain and the suffering that we have gone through these past few weeks. We shouldn't be burying our children. We shouldn't have to live our lives in the constant fear of someone taking our kids away from us. There are no words anyone can ever tell me to make me feel better, to make my suffering less. This is something that I'll have to carry on for the rest of me and my son's life. All I have now left is to fight for Jocelyn, to fight for justice, and that is why I'm here today, because I refuse to let Jocelyn's memory fade, and I refuse to let her voice go unheard. I'm her voice now, so I will now never stop fighting for justice to be served for her. The two men who ripped my daughter away from me should have never been here. They should have never been roaming our streets freely as they were. They now get to live another day when my Jocelyn does not. I'm now supporting and fighting for Senator Cruz's Justice for Jocelyn Act, because if it had been in place, Jocelyn would be here with us today. She'd be living the life she deserves to live. I urge everyone to please support the Justice for Jocelyn Act. With it, we can really make sure that this never happens again. We can make sure that Jocelyn will never be forgotten. Thank you for everyone who's here, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it to Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Alexis. Thank you for your courage being here. Kelvin, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing with your daughter, standing for your granddaughter. What happened to Jocelyn was wrong. It was horrific and it was evil. You know, we're standing here in the beginning of August. This should be a time when Jocelyn is running around with her friends, when she's going shopping for school about to start, when she's thinking about what 7th grade was going to entail, when she's thinking about whether she's going to try out for the school play this fall, when she's wondering about the cute boy that sits 3 rows in front of her, if he's going to ask her to go to a movie. That's what Jocelyn should be doing. It's what every young girl and young boy should be doing. But what happened that night ripped that precious 12-year-old angel away from her mother, away from her little brother, away from her grandfather, away from a family. That hole will never be filled. The pain and agony, Alexis, I admire that you can stand here and speak for Jocelyn. That is not easy. I know a lot of you just wants to curl up and cry. But you're taking that pain, and we've sat in your living room as you've told me about Jocelyn and what an amazing little girl she was. You're taking that pain that is ripping your heart to pieces, and you're using it to try to say, at least maybe we can stop another little girl, another little boy from being the victim of this. This is happening every day, day after day after day. You pick up the newspaper, you look at the news, and we're seeing the same thing over and over again. Another person murdered, another woman raped, another child brutally assaulted. And the pattern in every one of these that is happening day after day after day is these are crimes committed by illegal immigrants who were apprehended and who the Biden-Harris administration chose to release. What is so infuriating about Jocelyn's murder is it didn't have to happen. It was utterly and completely preventable. These 2 Venezuelan illegal immigrants were in custody. They were in federal custody. All the administration had to do was follow the law, and put them on a plane and fly them back to Venezuela. And Jocelyn would still be alive. She'd be laughing and playing, and she'd have her whole life in front of her. But instead, the administration made the political decision to release them. There were detention beds available, about 3,000 detention beds that were sitting there empty. But the administration made the political decision not to put them in a detention bed, but just to let them go into our community. And they came to our city. They came to Houston. And just weeks after they got here, they kidnapped and brutally assaulted and murdered Jocelyn. I've introduced the Justice for Jocelyn Act. This common sense legislation mandates that the administration detain illegal aliens who are in their custody while their cases are proceeding. That they no longer engage in catch and release, just letting go whoever comes into this country. It mandates that as long as there are beds that are available and detention facilities that are available, they must keep them there, and they must do every means necessary to ensure they keep them there. It also requires that if any individuals are released on ankle bracelets, that those ankle bracelets be monitored 24/7, and this is actually an idea Jocelyn's grandfather, Kelvin, came up with. The bill mandates that anyone on one of those ankle bracelets have a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m., that they must be in their home and not out at night. Because tragically, we know from experience the vast majority of these horrific crimes occur late at night. And the bill provides for any violation of those terms immediate deportation. This is a straightforward, common sense step. It's something that makes sense. Those of us up here are wearing bracelets. Justice for Jocelyn. pray that these bracelets touch more than your wrist, that they touch your heart. Because not only are we grieving for Jocelyn, but we should be grieving for the little girl or little boy who's going to be killed tomorrow. And the day after that, and the day after that. Because as long as the federal government keeps doing what it's doing, every day, releasing illegal immigrants, criminal illegal immigrants who are preying on and murdering innocent people, we're going to see more little girls, more little boys, more women, more men subjected to hell. It's not right. And as a community, we can stand up and say enough is enough. I'd now like to recognize the district attorney and my good friend Kim Ogg, who is taking the lead on prosecuting these cases. Kim?
Thank you, Senator. Good morning. I'm Kim Ogg, Harris County District Attorney. On June 17th, Jocelyn Nungaray's body was found tied, nude from the waist down, halfway submerged in a bayou, murdered by two Venezuelan undocumented men who had been captured and released near El Paso, Texas. Unfortunately, they came to Houston, where after an afternoon of drinking, after construction work, which they were employed in, they encountered Jocelyn after 10 o'clock at night near a local convenience store. They lured her under a bridge and murdered her. Jocelyn Nungaray did not have to die. And I want the Nungaray family to know that every employee of the Harris County District Attorney's Office is committed to seeking justice for your child. Andy Kahn and Senator Cruz and I have been here before. In 1992, when the Peña-Ertman murders occurred by a group called the Black and White Gang, Jose Medellin was one of the murderers. He also was an undocumented alien who had lived here most of his life. Senator Cruz had the opportunity to defend the death penalty that he received from a Texas jury, while Senator Cruz was Solicitor General of the state of Texas. We share the experience of the Peña-Ertman families because we've known them. I've known them since it happened. So has Andy. I'm sure the senator as well. These are real people who suffered unspeakable pain because of the murder of their children by murderers, one of whom was an illegal alien at the time. This case really had resonance for all of us because of the similar facts, and our commitment in this DA's office under my leadership is the same as it was under Johnny Holmes' leadership back in 1992 when the murders of the Peña-Ertman girls were captured and prosecuted. So our commitment is to the same level of justice. We currently await additional evidence that we expect from testing. As you know, DNA testing is progressing each day, and science and technology brings us closer to justice in this case each day as we wait. As soon as we have that news, we will share it, of course, with the family and then with you, the public. I'm here today not as a partisan, but as the top law enforcement official in Harris County to support the Justice for Jocelyn Act and to thank my fellow elected colleagues, Senator Ted Cruz and Congressman Troy Nehls, for filing the Justice for Jocelyn bill, because it will make us safer and because crime is bigger than partisanship. You know, if Justice for Jocelyn had already been the law of the land, there's a good likelihood that Jocelyn Nungaray would be alive today. Had the two defendants never been released, of course, they wouldn't have had the chance to ever encounter, much less assault and murder Jocelyn. Had there been a curfew and 24-hour monitoring of the ankle monitors, at least someone in government would have known they were no longer in the El Paso area to show up for their immigration hearing. And that likely would have been some violation of a condition of their release. But that didn't happen. And that's why we need the Justice for Jocelyn bill. It's an amazing thing to live in a city and practice law here and be involved in criminal justice long enough to see the same thing happening twice, more than 3 decades later. What is predictable is preventable. Without a way to identify undocumented individuals coming across the border, how are government officials ever supposed to know how to support the dangerous from the peaceful? And that's why we need every bed filled and a process that's legitimate in this country for people to enter. We have that. These individuals didn't follow it. Jocelyn Nungaray is dead as a result of it. And I am grateful to you, Senator, and grateful to you, Congressman, for trying to protect our children. Government's first responsibility is to protect us. This bill will help us do that. Thank you both.
Thank you, Ms. Hogg. Thank you for being here. The administration has been warned. They've been warned about this for over 2 years. And they've done nothing. I sent a letter to Secretary Mayorkas back in September of 2022. Border Patrol received an alert. They said, be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for Venezuelans coming through, these violent criminals, these violent gangs. They're coming through. Border Patrol, be on top of your game. Be on the lookout. They're coming. I sent a letter to Secretary Mayorkas. I said, sir, Border Patrol is receiving these reports. What are you going to do? What are we doing about this intelligence that stated that these Venezuelans are coming through? We've heard for many, many months that Maduro, obviously an illegitimate president, right? He has problems. Poverty rate's over 50%. Inflation's over 220%. They're releasing individuals from their prisons. They're coming through on the caravans. I ask them all sorts of questions. Secretary Mayorkas, what are you doing? I hear nothing. Nothing from the administration. In February 2024, Laken Riley murdered by a Venezuelan national. Recent report just came out that that killer's brother is tied to this horrible, horrible gang out of Venezuela, the Tren de Aragua. Very, very bad people. Murders. So after Miss Riley was murdered, I sent a second letter to Secretary Mayorkas asking him, hey, what are you going to do about this? You have been warned. Border Patrol is on alert. What is this administration going to do to protect the American people and make sure we have no more Laken Rileys and others? They did nothing. I heard nothing from this administration on my second letter. Unfortunately, my warnings went unanswered, and it's costing Americans their lives. In June 2024, Jocelyn brutally murdered by 2 Venezuelan nationals. They were released into this interior by the Biden-Harris administration. Our border czar. Make no mistake, she was our border czar. Detention beds were available when they were apprehended crossing into our country. We have no way checking these individuals. As a former sheriff, people coming in here, we can work with other countries, Canada, Mexico, and others, to determine if you're coming into this country, what kind of a citizen were you in your country? We don't have the ability to do that with Venezuela. Obviously, we have a very strained relationship. So people coming through, if you think I'm going to be able to Border Patrol is going to know what type of person that was in Venezuela. Can't get the information. You cannot get the information. And Maduro, he's very clever. He doesn't want them back. He doesn't want these bad hombres coming back into this country. He's releasing them. He wants them to come here, raise chaos. He doesn't want them back. Don't ever forget what Trump said in 2015. He said, I quote, "They're not going to send us their brightest." June of this year, 2 NYPD officers were shot by these gang members. 2 of them. And now what'd you hear this week? It's insulting when New Mexico has to alert Denver PD saying that this gang, that there is a green light. There's a green light now to kill officers in the city of Denver. A green light. Of course, I sent another letter. My 3rd letter was just now sent to Secretary Mayorkas saying, what are you going to do? When are you going to put America and its people first, not last? And as of this morning, I've heard nothing. I've heard nothing from this administration. Folks, make no mistake. The Biden-Harris administration is responsible for all of it. They're not concerned about our safety. The evidence is there. It's all there for the American people to see. And they put you and your family and the American people last. And quite honestly, I do not know how they sleep at night. I do not know how they sleep at night. Shame on them. I would like to now recognize our greatest Houstonian, Mattress Mac.